Radio. I'm Farm Director Joe Gill at FarmFest. Congressman Tom Emmer, familiar voice on AM 1150. Tom, FarmFest, first of all, great to be here. Great to be listening to what folks have on their mind.
No, you're right. It's great to be back together again after a year hiatus. I hope everybody out there and their families managed to weather this pandemic storm. It's time to get back to living, Joel, and it's great to see everybody here today doing just that.
You know, Tom, I think the panel you were on Tuesday morning could have gone 4 hours. You had a lot of great folks on that panel with a lot of issues that people are really concerned about.
That's true. I mean, it ran the gamut, but there are two that stood out. I don't know if you'd agree with me, but the two that seemed to stand out were the potential changes to tax policy that are on the horizon, and then the major labor issues that we have in this country, not just with our ag communities, our ag industry, but across all of our industries across the country. We've got 9 million open jobs. Time to get people back to work. Time to incent people to get back into the workforce.
Isn't it odd that we have to do that? I have a good incentive. I need to pay my bills. That's why I go to work. I know that I don't mean to offend anybody, but darn it, you know, putting in a good day's work, it means something.
Well, we're not. I don't think you are offending anybody. There might be some people on the fringes that believe in this country they're entitled to everything without having to work for it. I'm sure that's the case everywhere, right? But the vast majority of Americans, and I know the vast majority of Minnesotans, would prefer to work and make things, create things for themselves and their family. The problem you have is when government starts to put money out there. We started when the pandemic had begun by adding $600 to the unemployment benefit. Well, the Minnesotans are smart. They do the math and they go, wait, that's going to pay me somewhere 18 to 22 bucks an hour. I'm only getting paid. You know what? I got to take that benefit because that's better for me and my family, right? That's the part that has to go away. It's $300 right now that the federal government is supplementing. That runs out at the end of September, and quite frankly, it couldn't come soon enough.
Tom, you mentioned some of those tax issues that could be implemented. Mr. Gordon with ASA gave some examples and some percentages. I don't know how anybody can move on with some of those numbers he shared.
No, and I'll go based on his numbers because he's literally on the ground with the family farm, working with his community. I know as a policymaker, though, if you eliminate stepped-up basis, this is going to be the issue you have. I was just told by somebody who's here, who's an accountant, that said if you've got a generational farm, multi-generational farm that goes way back, and you can't establish the basis for an acre of land when that farm was started, guess what the basis is? 0. Imagine that, and you're going to get taxed on the difference between 0 and what you would sell those acres at today. That just isn't right. That would be the end, in my mind, of the generational farm. It would be devastating. But people need to understand the ag community. It's not just you. This is every mom and pop business on Main Street across the state and the country that would be impacted by that. And then Bill went into talking about the capital gains rate, jacking that up from low 20s to almost 40%. And he talked about you go sell that tractor, right? That on paper you got $100,000 there, and he said, but I didn't get $100,000, I got 0, and you're going to get taxed. You're going to get taxed thousands of dollars on that transaction. And then last, but absolutely not least, if you're going to take the estate tax laws and you're going to reduce what a family can protect in terms of passing on to the next generation to $1 million or less, that's not going to help our farm families survive and thrive like we need to have generations to come.
Tom, one final question regarding this infrastructure package. I keep seeing the number $1 trillion. I think you said 2,700 pages. What's your level of excitement for this at all? We hear the word compromise and bipartisan. Kind of give us the inside story on this.
Well, hopefully as your listeners could gather, this just came out last week. 2,700 pages with no pictures is not the most easy reading you're ever going to do. So forgive me for admitting that I'm not all the way through it. Our staff is digging through it. I'm more concerned with the process. I really appreciate, and I think Republicans and Democrats alike agree that a bipartisan infrastructure bill is a good thing, and it's something we should all aspire to. The problem is, and again, going back to Bill Gordon this morning, who said, hey, if you see some of us working together who have never worked together in the past, please don't panic, right? Because he was talking about the different farm organizations that come from different political perspectives. He said, but we're all binding together to fight a different kind of crazy. And that's exactly what we're worried about, right? That there's a small group, but a very powerful group, maybe as many as 40, 50 members on the Democrat side, who have said unless they get all of their green initiatives that they've asked for and other things, they're not going to sign off on anything. So, look, it remains to be seen. When human beings are involved, you are never going to be, you're always going to be surprised.
Congressman Tom Emmer joining us at FarmFest. Tom, thanks for being here. Thanks for your time. Thanks for sharing time with our listeners as always.
Thank you. Appreciate what you do. Appreciate your audience.
Broadcasting from FarmFest here on KASM Radio, I'm Farm Director Joe Gill. More coverage all week long through Friday as FarmFest ends Thursday here at Gill Fill-In Estate.